SVC Media.
Welcome to the iGaming Daily Podcast, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market.
It's a new year, but the gambling industry seems to be facing some of the same conundrums it always has. Welcome to iGaming Daily, brought to you by Optimove, the creator of positionless marketing and #1 player engagement solution for iGaming and sports betting operators. I'm Fernando, Noodt, media manager for SBC, and your host for today's podcast, where we will be discussing some of these conundrums. Joe Streeter, editor for iGaming Expert, right next to me live from ICE. Joe, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm all good, Fer, thank you. Busy at ICE, of course. Kicked things off this morning with the behind the gloves training. Very intense, good workout. Got the endorphins pumping before the day had even started. And lots of great conversations already at ICE with some interesting people, and great to see some old faces in the industry that discussing the hot topics and the conundrums that you mentioned that I'm sure we will go into as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We will definitely be tackling that. But joining us today as well is Ted Orme-Claye, Ted, editor of SBC News. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you, Fer. Yeah, good to be joining you both from ICE again. I didn't make it to the boxing thing this morning, which is a shame because I think it would have been good to, test my grit against the pride of Shrewsbury, Joe Streeter. But maybe next time I'll bring my gym gear and I can get into that. But yeah, the conference itself, as always, been really, really active. Lots of interesting discussions going on. I've been having conversations about sort of the black market and non-Gamstop casinos in the UK, prediction markets over in America, and just other like technicalities of regulation, trading, and all sorts. As always, everything's covered at ICE. Yeah,
and Fer, can I say what a pleasure it is to be joined by you live in person and not behind that little screen. It's great to see you over here.
It's a rare pleasure.
It is. It certainly adds to the podcast for sure. And how was your flight over? Was it all right?
It was all right. It was a long flight, of course, coming all the way from South America. I've been really looking forward for this trip and see you guys all here. So yeah, definitely a pleasure to be here in the same room, even though Ted seems to want to punch you in the face. All right, and now to the conundrums we were mentioning before, as the illegal market remains a very strong issue all around the globe for the iGaming industry, not only for the industry itself, but also, of course, for society in general. And that is why Turkey has been on a strong crusade against illegal gambling for some time, but President Recep Tayyip Erdogan did not hold back at all when talking about it recently. Why don't we start by breaking down what he said?
Yeah, President Erdogan, he was stark. And I mean, this continues his crusade, as you called it, against illegal gambling. It was a manifesto pledge of his, and he has just gone all out to kind of fulfill this manifesto pledge. But in his latest kind of statement, which has come as part of wider action to just strangle illegal gambling and stop it at source and sanction any individuals that are seen to be kind of facilitating illegal gambling, whether that's kind of payments firms or whatever. He compared it to terrorism and the damage that it does. He said, if I could read his quote verbatim from the speech, if that's okay. He said, when we examine recent family tragedies in our country, we see that alcohol, online betting, gambling and drugs are at the forefront. These evils are among the root causes of divorces, domestic disputes and social collapse. Games that begin as entertainment turn into traps that introduce our youth to the scourge of online betting and gambling. Yeah, and he went on to kind of compare it to terrorism. Really strong stuff from Erdogan. And this isn't just words. This is backed up by action, backed up by sanctions, backed up by various different strengthening of strategies to really ensure that he fulfills this manifesto pledge of just thwarting any illicit gambling. And it's interesting, because when we talk about the black market, we talk about various countries taking different approaches. Turkey definitely one that is taking some of the strongest action. But yeah, it's a conversation that could be had across the globe on how different regions are taking different approaches.
Why do you think Turkey has embarked on this fight against illegal gambling? Do you think there's any particular reason, or is it just part of them enforcing the actual legislation or the actual regulation?
I think, what you've mentioned there is just the enforcement of the legislation is definitely part of it. That's probably the main part of it, I'd say, really. Gambling in Turkey is a heavily restricted industry. You know, with the exception of, I believe, the state lottery operator, which I think does have some limited reach into the other betting and gaming markets that we'd see in other more like liberal markets. Gambling is a no-go in Turkey, and Erdogan and his government have clearly got very fed up with the extent of the illegal industry there, the clearly some societal impacts that it is having. I think as well, Erdogan is known for being quite a conservative politician and leader, and he's also very he has extended the power of the state quite a bit, I think, according to in the eyes of a lot of international commentators. So I think that his approach to that is probably extending to his approach to enforcement of legislation. Like he's not pulling his punches with it as he does with a lot of other issues and topics.
Pulling punches, it's full of punching references today.
I can't stop.
And there is worth noting as well that there is a Turkish election in 2028, I think.
Yes, I believe so.
If Erdogan wants to secure victory, or his party wants to secure victory, they have kind of faced pressure. They have kind of faced political opposition in recent times. There have been setbacks. So I think it's about fulfilling those. Nothing is stronger than a politician that sticks to their word. This is just seen as boosting his kind of stature in going into those elections. He will see it as pivotal.
It's also been quite a long-running campaign of his now, hasn't it? Going back to way before in the election campaign. And I remember this. Myself and Ted Memmier reported on this for SBC News about some of the clampdowns they were doing on Telegram, which I think a lot of that was more to do with group chats and things getting used to organise criminal activity and terrorist activity and things like that. But illegal gambling was also caught in the crossfire of that and included in it. And then we've later seen the extension of some other campaigns, a strengthening of some of the powers of the state law enforcement agencies and regulators and so on to go after the illicit industry. So I think it's been a long running ambition of his, I think, and we're just seeing that continue. And we'll probably see it continue even more as we get closer to the election, like you said, Joe.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Ted, to be honest, because there were some quotes from the KSA today as well, or from just last week, I'm going to do my best here, from Michael Gruthisen.
This is the Dutch.
The Dutch regulator, yeah. And he was talking about tackling the illegal market, saying about the potential impact of an Interpol for illegal betting, a gambling Interpol. But one of the things that he mentioned as well was the importance of rapidly removing illegal content posted by influencers on social media. That is a big way that the black market kind of penetrates an audience and gets through. The marketing battle is hard for the regulated market. They're very much handicapped against the black market. So if you can cut that off at source, then that is going to be a big asset to tackling the black market.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely be looking into what the KSA said, but right now we're gonna do a very quick commercial break, and we will be right back to continue discussing all of these conundrums.
SBC Leaders connects the gambling industry's top-tier operators and associations to share the best ideas, collaborate on solving the biggest issues, and push innovation throughout the betting and gaming industry. If you're an operator and want to join the discussion, visit sbcleaders.com for more information.
And we're back with more iGaming Daily to continue discussing the illegal market.
Ferb, before we go into it, you've travelled all the way here. We didn't ask how your ICE is going so far. Are you having a good conference? Are you enjoying Barcelona?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wish the weather was a little bit nicer to us, because it's been raining ever since we landed in Barcelona. But the conference so far is going great. We're getting to see the people. I can't stress enough every time we are recording the iGaming Daily live from an event floor. Like, the events are my favorite part of the jobs, because you get to see the people, you get to be in contact not only with you guys, but also other people who may be clients of SBC, or people you are talking on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, or maybe even every now and then, and getting to see them face to face, I think is the best part of this job. So I'm really happy to be here at Barcelona.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I did notice as well is that, even as the Brazil market kind of evolves and opens up and that like, kind of freshness is gone, right? There is still a massive focus on LATAM here. The industry is still buzzing about LATAM, not just Brazil, but on the kind of surrounding areas and surrounding markets as well. I guess that's exciting for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot still to happen in Latin America, of course. Chile still needs to pass their regulation. Uruguay seems to be going forward with their own regulation as they over the last few weeks. They've been pushing a new proposal. We have discussed that on iGaming Daily recently, so maybe after this episode you can go back and look for that Uruguay episode because it's very interesting. And yeah, of course, Brazil is always like the crown jewel for not only Latin America, but pretty much everywhere in the world right now is looking into Brazil. Even though it's been a year already of them operating, everyone is really interested in Brazil, which also has a major issue with the illegal market, the illegal gambling market, because over half the market, according to recent data, is illegal. Like the betting volume goes through illegal operations, and that's why I want to go back to discuss the Turkey story, because the government decided to empower the Financial Crimes Investigation Board to coordinate efforts against illegal operations together with banks. So do you think this is something that other jurisdictions are lacking in their efforts to counter the unauthorized market, like the cooperation with banks? You may try to block an IP address, but if you don't try to enforce some control over the banking operations that are going through these illegal operations, I feel like those efforts may not be enough.
Yeah, and I mean IP blocking, as you mentioned, is a massive tool, a massive tool, very very useful in terms of tackling the black market. But this kind of full scale, wide approach, bringing in the Financial Crimes Investigation Board, MASAK it's called in Turkey, it's huge, and I think. The approach Turkey has taken really, it's a wide one, and I do think somewhat conducive to like state control, and they're taking a very controlling approach to it. But cutting off kind of payment services, targeting the payment services, that's I think part of what is a really strong strategy to tackling the black market, and one that I think others could learn from if they're enabled to do it in other markets. I don't know if they would be.
Well, we have been seeing some more instances, I think, across, certainly from a European standpoint, of different European regulators encouraging a cross-collaborational approach towards tackling the black market. If we just look at regulators working with each other, last year the British Gambling Commission was quite open in how much it was working with other European regulators. Its counterparts in Ireland, in Germany and the Netherlands in particular, I think they're four of the big ones that often work together on this. So there's that element of sharing best practice, sharing data, sharing experiences and learnings and stuff like that to what can apply to the different markets these regulators oversee. Regarding working with banks, I can't confidently say how much I know that regulators and banks and financial institutions and so on have been working together in these markets. But what I do know is that a lot of banks, certainly like the UK and Ireland, for example, are getting more involved in the problem gambling prevention side of things, aren't they? Having like gambling blocking tools and things like that to stop their customers from voluntarily from making payments to gambling sites if they feel that the spending's getting out of hand. So obviously, logically, you could think that same approach, the same technology could be applied to the illegal side of things. And specifically in the UK as well, we're seeing that there was a lot of talk last year, and it's continuing this year because I've spoken about it with people on the floors at ICE today, the rise of non-Gamstop casinos. So these are the online illegal casinos that market themselves as not being on the UK's self-exclusion register, to go out there and deliberately target customers who are suffering from problem gambling, suffering from gambling harm, and have excluded themselves from the regulated industry. And there's now a lot of conversations about, well, how can we get financial institutions to set up blocks for these customers so they can't even make the payments to those accounts. So there's definitely a lot more work that can be done in that area, but I do think regulators are quite keen to do it, and I can't see any reason why the financial institutions wouldn't be either.
And speaking of collaboration and working together, this proposal by KSA's Michael Groothuisen speaks of this gambling Interpol you were talking about recently over in the first half, Joe. So this would mean that gambling regulators will come together and form this new body, let's say, or this new cooperation. Don't you think there's already groups of operators? Like I can think of, for example, Alea in Argentina, which it, of course, Argentina being a federal country, it has several regulators for each province, or one regulator for each province, and so it has several regulators that work together through Alea, and then it has CBLAE, which is the corporation of state lotteries in Latin America. So I think regulators are already working in that sense. Do you think it makes sense actually to create some sort of gambling Interpol?
Yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of a gap in the market. There is something of an absence in
For some more maybe
when it comes to focusing on the black market specifically.
Like a cross-sector enforcement body sort of thing. Like we do already see a lot of collaborations, but I don't think I've ever seen anything come to that sort of level. So yeah, I think there definitely could be, as Joseph likes to use a bit of a business terminology, a gap in the market for it. So like a regulatory gap or something. But I think obviously in let's say if we just refer this to Europe, maybe what these regulators would have to do would be to look at how that could coexist with European law and any existing EU bodies there might be. Because I know that the EU has been stepping up sort of cross-sector regulation across a number of different sectors lately. But obviously regulators are people who know the laws and know regulations quite well. I'm sure they'd be able to factor that in. Probably much better than I could.
Right, I'm sure illegal gambling and the illegal market, or the unauthorized market that some operators like to call it, will continue to be a topic of discussion, a topic of debate for the industry, not only this week, but all across this year and probably the next years to come. So make sure you subscribe to all newsletters across the SBC Media Network to keep up to date with everything going on, not only in the unauthorized market. Hopefully it won't be that much, and we will be talking more about the regulated operations in the iGaming industry. Thank you very much, Ted, Joe. Thank you very much, Naya McDonald, for producing this episode. I'm Fernando Noodt, and to our listeners out there, we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to today's iGaming Daily podcast, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News Network or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.